Billy, let's bring in our next guest, Chad from Central Valley Astronomers. Chad, how's it going, pal?
Real good, real good.
It's Central Valley Astronomers. So you read the stars?
Sort of.
Okay, tell me what you do.
Okay, our organization is it's a club of recreational astronomers, and it's one of the oldest clubs of its kind in the country, dating back all the way to 1952.
Wow.
Today we've got about 50 members in total, and we have numerous events each month dedicated to public outreach and sharing the stars with the general public, as well as enjoying it ourselves.
So you do star tours?
Yeah.
You walk people through the stars and point them out, tell them which ones are which?
Yeah, absolutely. And
do you do it with telescopes or?
We do. Most of the club members have their own telescope, and we usually meet a couple different places throughout the month to set them up and have a good time out there.
Now, you say meet somewhere, like out in the mountains?
Let me give you an example. One of our most popular star parties, as we call them, is actually held at River Park Shopping Center.
Oh, really?
Okay? And it's usually during the warmer months of the year on a Saturday night closest to the first quarter moon. We'll set up there in kind of the common area of the shopping center, and we usually get 200 or 300 people that they come piling out of the movie theater and say, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" So we'll show them the moon and a couple planets and whatever else we can see from that side.
And River Park allows you to do that there?
They do. I think it helps them, keeps people, from getting into
leaving?
trouble,
Now, how long have you been into astronomy?
I've been into astronomy since I was 6.
How'd you get into it?
My dad would take me to hockey practice, and I'd pay more attention to the looking out the window, the car.
Okay, time out. Hockey practice. Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
Okay, I thought I heard that in there. Yeah. And so you're in the Air Force?
Navy.
Navy. Okay, so that's how you got out of here?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is it better to look at stars out here than in Wisconsin?
Well, you'd be surprised because you get more clear days throughout the year here than just about anywhere else in the United States. So that helps a lot.
So 6 years old, your dad would take you out and look at stars?
Once he realized that I cared more about that than the hockey. So,
yeah. So what you got a telescope when you're a kid?
Yeah, well, I started off with binoculars, and that's really the way I recommend people get started. It's the first thing. Hey, if you're going to buy equipment, start with binoculars because it's a relatively inexpensive way to extend what your eyes can see, and they're also good for other things too. So a lot of people buy a telescope, and that maybe takes them a little while to figure out how to use it, and maybe by then they've lost interest. So I recommend starting small and finding somebody else that that's into it that can show you the way.
I was when I would go by someone's house and see a telescope by the window, I always think the wrong things. I don't think they're out looking at the stars. I'm like, oh, creepy. So the stars. We have some pictures here that you want to show.
Sure.
What is this?
Well, that's Jupiter, and that's a picture I took last month sometime. So right now is a good time to look at Jupiter, especially if you have a small telescope. It's high in the sky early in the evening, and that's an ideal time for it.
Okay. The next one?
That is actually called a planetary nebula, and it's a classic example of that. And what that is that's a star that has gone through its life cycle, and it's kind of at the end. It has expelled its outer layers into a gas cloud, and the core is all that's left as a white dwarf. And that particular one was the M27, the dumbbell nebula, as it's called.
Now, is that easy to catch?
Yeah, that one. Well, the picture itself is a challenge, but it's easy to see in a small telescope.
Do you know when it's coming?
Yeah. Yeah, it's always in the same place of the sky, and of course you got to know the constellation it's in because they move throughout the night. But it doesn't really move with respect to the other stars.
Awesome. What is this?
That's a star-forming region called M42. It's the Great Orion Nebula. And believe it or not, you can actually see this with the unaided eye, if you know exactly where to look. That's in the Sword of Orion, if you're familiar with that constellation.
The Sword of Orion.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any way that you can tell me tonight, if I walk outside, which direction to stand and look up that I might see something like that?
To see Orion, you're going to need a good western horizon this time of year. It's a wintertime constellation. It's setting in the west early on. So you're going to look for 3 stars that are pretty closely spaced in almost a perfect line. And that's the belt of Orion. And if you look just south of that, there's a little hazy patch, and that's what that nebula was.
Very interesting. What is this?
That is M81, and it's a spiral galaxy that is... it's up close to the Big Dipper right now, and it's just a nice example of a spiral galaxy, like the Milky Way is.
Cool. Now, do you have other events that are open to the public?
Most of our events are free to the public. Coming up this next month, we've got a meeting this Saturday at We usually have them at Fresno State in the engineering building there, and that's a club business meeting. But usually one of the club members will also talk for a half hour or hour on a topic that interests them. So other upcoming events, May 16th will be at Eastman Lake Recreational Area, and that's a dark sky event. So you got to drive outside of Fresno to see a lot of the fainter things, and hopefully we'll have a good attendance from the club and the general public out there.
Cool. Again, I just kind of wanted to know, what direction can I look up in the sky and see something cool tonight?
Well, if you look straight up, you're going to see Jupiter. It's going to look like a star, but it'll be pretty bright. To the east, there'll be another bright one. That's Venus. That usually kind of follows the sun on the way down. And then if you look kind of east and high in the sky, you're actually looking in the direction of a lot of galaxies. You won't be able to tell that they're out there without a telescope, but you'll be looking outside the plane of the Milky Way into deep space.
What size telescope would I need to see that?
Pretty small, probably a 3 or 4 inch diameter lens or mirror would be enough to start picking up on some of them. Obviously, the larger the better.
What do you have?
I've got up to a 25 inch.
A 25 inch?
Yeah.
And how far can you see with that?
Well, it's kind of interesting because the farther you see, the farther back in time you're seeing. And the reason being is because the speed of light is finite and it takes a long time. That galaxy we looked at, M81, it's probably 14 million light years away. So the light that left that galaxy has been traveling through space for 14 million years before it got to us.
You're freaking me out, man. Now, how do people find you online?
www.cvafresno.org. I've got a new website this year, so there's ways to contact us. Numerous events that we've got are going to be listed there, as well as a couple other features that we've got.
Awesome. Hey, man, it's really cool talking to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break.